This is NTV.
Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop, collaborate and listen. Ice is back.
Oh, give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, for the morning come, give me hope.
With different colors,
One people,
different colors.
one people.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when
Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop, collaborate and listen. Ice is back.
oh, give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, give me hope, Joanna, for the morning come, give me hope.
With different colors,
One people,
different colors.
one people.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when.
Nasinzia nikikuwaza, nasinzia nikikuwaza, miaka rudi miaka nenda, nasinzia nikikuwaza.
This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele lom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwasomo the bus.
The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola omukulu mbadde ndala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonga takyekyusa.
Welcome back to Minibus Cervical.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeeyisa
alimba ono
This is Minibus Cervical.
This is NTV.
Well, this obviously is a very significant speech, that of President Juan Manuel Santos, because he basically said that the road to
It's the 4th of September 2012. A warm welcome to this live Tuesday edition
of NTV Tonight.
Tonight, find out how Ida Nantaba is fighting on and is heading to the president to intervene as her attempts to be appointed as a minister so far prove futile.
Plus, a vaccine against cervical cancer is being introduced across Uganda for the first time. Be sure to have your say in our NTV poll tonight.
Let's begin by taking you straight into tonight's headlines.
We must take them on and they must come and appear. If need be, we put them in. Why not? These are children who are programmed this country.
Also tonight, senior retired army officer Colonel Chris Mudola is summoned by Parliament to respond to allegations that he trafficked over 150 girls to Iraq, who later ended up in sex slavery.
However, from the year 2014 onwards, all girls aged 9 to 13 years countrywide will be able to be vaccinated against the human papillomavirus.
For the first time in Uganda, a vaccine against cervical cancer is introduced for 140,000 girls across the country for the next 2 years.
Whatever could have been aired could have had an error, but today officially it is not someone to appear as.
And drama at Central Police Station as police backtrack on the fate of Kampala Central MP Mohammed Cervical. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinitwe.
And I am Gabriel Apeno. Thank you for joining us. Now, the woman member of Parliament for Kayunga District, who was appointed as Minister of State for Lands, has been put on hold once again by the Appointments Committee of Parliament.
Ida Nantaba is now accusing some generals in the army and the NRM Secretariat that is headed by the Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi of being behind the blocking of her ministerial appointment.
And as Maurice Ochol reports from Parliament, Nantaba says she is now heading for consultations with the President, who she hopes can address her current impasse with the Appointments Committee.
At midday, the woman member of Parliament, Ida Nantuma, emerged from the members' lounge in Parliament, seemingly composed, but once again, it was bad news.
I was here at 9 and I've been waiting, but the secretary to the clerk has just informed me that I will be vetted at another date that they are going to communicate. She didn't give me a reason as to why they cancelled, but that's all she communicated.
So why for the second time has she been blocked, even after she says UNEB has verified her papers?
This is drama. This is a cover-up. The other time they were using the issue of academic papers. Now UNEB has cleared me. Now they are saying they're not going to vet me. So they better say it out why they are doing all this drama.
Nantaba claims top generals in the army and the NRM Secretariat headed by Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi are instrumental in her downfall.
Kayunga batumukunde banji banamaje abalaba bakulu mu gwanga. I don't know why the NRM Secretariat is behind all this saga happening, and I've already tasked His Excellency to explain to me as the chairman of the party why the NRM Secretariat is fighting me to this level.
One petition came from Nantaba's constituency in Kayunga. She is now crying foul, saying some people don't want to see her succeed.
Is the leaders of Kayunga who have been fighting me from the time I started fighting land grabbing in Kayunga up to today.
However, Nantaba says she is nonetheless optimistic, as she says she will head to the president to sort out her issues.
Yes, I think the appointing authority has to intervene in this matter because it is taking another trend of events now. I am just wondering why things are happening the way they are happening.
Other ambassadors were also vetted today, including former Minister of Health Richard Nduhura, who has been sent as the UN ambassador to New York. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Now, the First Lady, Janet Museveni, has called upon African leaders to constantly focus on improving the livelihoods of their citizens in order to eradicate conflicts that continue to blight the region. Mrs. Museveni was speaking in Kampala during the launch of a regional strategy directed at early prevention of conflicts, organized by members of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. Chris Ochamringa reports.
The meeting of member states from the Intergovernmental Authority on Development brought together high-ranking officials to launch a new strategy for preventing conflicts in the region. The First Lady, Janet Museveni, in her keynote address, called upon African leaders to improve the conditions of their citizens in order to reduce further outbreaks of conflicts across the region.
When the ordinary people have food, when they have security, when they are accessing education for their children, then prosperity will be our lot. And hence the importance of stability and peace in our communities.
This strategy, known as the Conflict Early Warning and Response Mechanism, is aimed at promoting peace and security. It also seeks to support communities living in areas with scarce natural resources with income-generating projects in order to reduce the risks of violence. The IGAD members will also gather data and share information on potentially risky situations to avert conflicts. This strategy that you people have just launched is quite noble, but it sounds rather ambitious. I would like you to tell me, is this only going to target cross-border conflicts or interstate and regional conflicts?
Well, it's going to target the conflicts that are priorities for our member states. And yes, it is ambitious. But we live in times where the challenges that we have call for ambition. If our member states don't do it, if the institutions within the C1 mechanism don't do it, the other institutions that work on peace and security issues don't do it, who will?
The member states agreed to adopt and implement the strategy that is supposed to run until 2019. Its implementation will, however, require the IGAD member states to put together huge sums of funds. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
Now, if you watched last night's bulletin here on NTV, then you are familiar with the story on Kampala MP Mohamed Cervical being summoned to the Central Police Station for interrogation on fraud-related accusations leveled against him. The police say they had written to the Speaker of Parliament informing her of their intention to question the MP. However, in a dramatic U-turn, police have retracted their stance on the matter, and according to the District Police Commander for Kampala, James Rueza, no summons were issued for the MP to appear for questioning. Cervical, who yesterday claimed to have heard of the news via electronic media, decided to go to the Central Police Station this morning, 2 days before the supposed interrogation date. The MP has been linked to a fraud case at Crane Bank involving an alleged money laundering racket.
Today we are to deliver a letter already written to the Speaker of Parliament summoning Honorable Cervical Mohammed to appear for interrogation on Thursday.
Well, the police seem to have rethought this statement made yesterday and this morning at their words, claiming that the legislator had indeed never been summoned for questioning of any kind. By 11 o'clock this morning, Cervical was at CPS to verify if indeed he is required there on Thursday in connection with allegations of a 290 million shillings fraud case at Crane Bank Limited's main branch in Kampala. The MP, escorted by several of his supporters, were met at CPS by the DPC Kampala, James Ruhweza. They later proceeded to Ruhweza's office, from where the officer refuted yesterday's statement by Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson Ibn Senkumbi that Cervical would be required by police to appear this Thursday.
So our position is that the Honorable should go and do his work. He has not been summoned to the police today. The fact is, we have not asked the Speaker to summon the Honorable today.
Thank you very much.
The MP lashed out at those responsible for issuing contradictory statements, but said he is willing to appear before the police whenever required.
How can Senkumbi come out and give hoodwinking information? You think those people are happy? Me, I'm ready to come, whether Thursday, Tuesday, Monday or any day.
Cervical also insists that he is innocent and was never involved in any criminal activity at Crane Bank.
Was I in the bank? Now they want to force even people to come and complain with nothing. No charge, no complainant. They only want to put it in the media and say because they are using it as a diversion.
Senkumbi was the slip of the tongue.
Sure. That meant another thing.
No. Our senior retired army officer, Colonel Chris Mudola, has been summoned by Parliament to explain how he trafficked over 150 girls to Iraq, who later ended up embroiled in sex slavery. 5 of the girls who escaped from the country with the help of America returned to Uganda today and narrated their ordeal. before the Parliamentary Committee on Gender. Now, Kano Mudola appeared alongside former State House employee Grace Kanyike, who is the proprietor of Uganda Veterans Development Limited, which recruits Ugandans to work abroad. Jingo Francis reports.
Cases of sex slavery in Iraq are rampant. Due to the high unemployment rate the country is currently facing, many young people promise brighter future abroad with lucrative jobs in Asian countries are duped into a very different reality. In fact, some have not lived to tell the story, but for Prosi Asobora, Ruth Namazi, Eva Kabanda, Assumpta Narwada, and Anne Charity, they count themselves among the lucky ones who have been able to escape hell on earth in Iraq.
And they took me as a shop attendant. When I reached there, they changed my work and they put me in the house as a maid.
One shift were those who had passports, and the last shift were those who did not have passports because our passports were confiscated. When we were still there, one of us was brought in by her boss. She was brought in like a thief. They were beating her and kicking her everywhere. She was younger than me.
These girls told MPs on the Parliamentary Committee on Gender how they were tortured and sodomized by Arab bosses.
One was tortured with electricity, another on hot water, others were sodomized. Very many things we cannot explain.
But I thank God for my life, that I'm alive. The Americans who helped me from Iraq.
As we were still there, Absami emphasized that those of us who do not want to go and work, we should pay his money. He used to buy us from the Uganda veterans $3,500. So Absami started beating me and kicking me up. He did not want to listen to me.
The girls say that Uganda Veterans Development Limited, located in Muyenga, Kampala city suburb, admitted having trafficked over 150 girls to Iraq by promising them high-paying jobs, but in reality, they ended up as housemaids being turned into sexy slaves by their bosses.
They are to risk their life, whatever the outcome.
MPs on the committee are now up in arms and are promising to bring Kano Mudola and Grace Kanyike, former State House employee, to book in connection with the allegations against them.
We must take them on and they must come and appear. If need be, we put them in. Why not? These are children who have programmed this country.
I think it is a manifestation of a failing state. This cannot happen to Ugandans the way we are hearing. And then we continue lamenting about things.
This company, the Uganda Veterans Development Limited, must give us all the list of all the Ugandans they have taken out, including the countries where they are, their contact person, such that the committee can even be able to either visit or get in touch with this. They must also give you the contacts of the families of these members.
The Uganda Development Limited is active here, and many Ugandans are lured to Arab countries such as Abu Dhabi and Afghanistan. This afternoon, we set off to establish to put these allegations direct to the company. Kano Mudola is not here. We are told he is currently on the trip to one of the countries where Ugandans are being trafficked for jobs. But after obtaining contact with one of the staff members in charge, identified as Kabagambe, we are greeted with threats on phone.
Are you aware that there are hundreds and hundreds of Ugandans who have gone through and they are...
We have a license for that, and we are allowed to take people. And we know the incidents as it happened. We gave our version and we are waiting for the verdict. Now, when I argue with you, what will it help?
No.
You will not punish me, you will not give me the judgment. You get it?
You know, for you, you're just making your story. I'm sorry, but it's time for me to go.
Jingo Francis, NTV.
Wait will happen to you.
Now, for the very first time in Uganda, a vaccine against cervical cancer, which is caused by the sexually transmitted human papillomavirus HPV, has been introduced to vaccinate 140,000 girls in the country for the next 2 years. The particular girls that are being targeted are between primary 4 and 10-year-olds outside of school across 12 districts across the country. Cervical cancer is the most deadly cancer amongst Uganda's women, killing approximately 2,400 women every year, according to the World Health Organization. Now, as Florence Nalimba reports, the vaccine is a lifetime preventer of this type of cancer, taken in 3 doses.
In its worst stages, cervical cancer presents with symptoms such as bleeding and unusual discharge from the woman's private part. The woman also experiences pelvic pain as well as pain during sexual intercourse. Unfortunately, these symptoms are almost always brushed off, and when a woman who shows signs of them finally receives treatment, her chances of dying are high.
Every year, 3,577 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer, and 2,464 die from the disease, which is in fact most preventable kind of cancer worldwide.
Now, to help reduce such mortality amongst women in the future, the Ministry of Health has been given a donation of a vaccine against the human papillomavirus, which causes cervical cancer.
MSD's contribution to this program is a donation of 460,000 doses of our quadrivalent HPV vaccine, Gardasil, at no cost to the government of Uganda. The doses are enough to vaccinate 140,000 eligible girls in the 12 districts over 2 years.
The districts include Busia, Mityana, Bududa, Oyam, Isingiro, Kamwenge, Katakwi, Kayunga, Rukungiri, Nebi, Ntungamu and Lira.
To vaccinate all girls in primary 4, irrespective of their age. In addition to primary 4 girls, all 10-year-old girls who are not in school will also be vaccinated.
The 10-year-olds who do not go to school will receive the vaccine from health centers and district hospitals. The first administration is due Thursday in Oyam district.
There are 3 doses which will prevent cancer of cervix. So you need 3 doses, and those will protect any young lady.
In 2014, all girls in the country from 9 to 13 years old will be vaccinated against the virus with help from Gavi Alliance freely. On the open market, the vaccine goes for 300,000 shillings, which is approximately $130. Gardasil protects against 2 of the high-risk HPV types, 16 and 18, which cause 70% of all cervical cancers, and 2 low-risk types, 6 and 11, which cause 90% of genital warts. Already, the vaccine has been piloted in the country in Ibanda and Nakasongola districts.
We are going to explain why we are vaccinating, and that we are trying to prevent HPV, which eventually leads to cancer of cervix and other cancers, actually, like cancer of the vulva, and it also causes cancer of the penis in the men.
A company, Vax, has however over the years been critiquing Gardasil, saying it is ineffective and instead infecting the young boys and girls upon administration. However, the only 2 vaccines against HPV, Gardasil by Merck and Cervarix by GlaxoSmithKline, have been approved by US's Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Even US's CDC considers them safe, and they are on the pre-qualification list of the World Health Organization. What should be noted, however, is that the more sexual partners you have, the more chances of you being exposed to multiple strains of the human papillomavirus. And also, the vaccines only protect one from some HPV strains to which someone has not yet been exposed. Florence Nalimba, NTV.
2,400 women dying annually from cervical cancer is an appallingly high figure, really.
I believe it's pertinent that everybody is aware of what causes cervical cancer and how it can be treated.
Exactly. So, would like to hear from you on this issue. We're asking, how can the awareness of cervical cancer be heightened? How can the awareness of this deadly cancer be heightened?
Well, to have your say, text your response to 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you're texting from. We will be reading some of your responses during and at the very end of tonight's newscast.
Okay. NTV Tonight returns after this short break with more stories, including what you're about to see.
This week's agricultural feature heads to China as attempts are underway to meet the spiraling demand for food in a country with the world's largest population.
And in business, the governor of the central bank expresses his frustration at the inaction by commercial banks to reduce lending rates.
You have every reason to stay with us. NTV Tonight returns with more news after the break.
This is NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atelelom tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus.
The discussion is still going on in the bus. Tulino kugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulino goba abatembeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeyi mugende no mbadde ndala kunyonyola omukulu mbadde ndala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya lukwago ye meya omutuufu
gavumenti ekutte lukwago emunyigira mu nsonga takyekyusa.
Welcome back to minibus kyogereko.
Singa omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera ye
alimba ono
This is minibus kyogereko.
kwera embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakuggwamu maama
bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale
sogera byange kibanza bana bagamba nga bagamba ne bweyagala nkubulira ebyange jja tugende emyanzi
mpulira abanyumya ababeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinnaasi e South Africa baba bakujerega obituufu
baba banjerega
oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga miggo
omuntu wa bulijjo tomuzanyirangako abeeranga dormant volcano
bwemba mukkiriza nina takuwa mugiyita
ate takuwa gobeera mugoberezi tolowooza nti buli mulimo gwonna oyogerera omusiraamu singa naakubuuza nti katonda yagamba atya
oba oli pasita ng'okyawa olimba obba oyenda olina abakazi basatu please heaven is waiting for you. One day you'll pay and soon your time is out.
Otiisa mmoni.
Sitiisa. Nkubuulira Yesu talimba.
Ebintu mbimala mulundi gumu. Kati what I love peace.
Gwokola byo.
Wegase n'omusajja mutwale mabi.
Welcome back. We start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and some of your responses. Now we asked, how can the awareness of cervical cancer be heightened in the country? How can the awareness of cervical cancer be increased?
Share your thoughts. You can text those through to 8778. Remember to leave your name and where you're texting from. We'll quickly read out a few of your responses even right now.
Okay, Maureen Agena, you say the Ministry of Health must stop using old-fashioned methods like posters to create awareness. They need to adjust to the current trends. Social media and mobile phones are great tools to disseminate the message to thousands.
And Kabaramaji Sharon saying more public sensitization should be in churches, schools, hospitals, and social women's groups should be emphasized the most.
Indeed, thank you for your responses. Please do keep them coming on this very sensitive issue, cervical cancer. We'll read some more before we wind up the bulletin tonight.
Now, as discussions continue on the 2012-2013 budget, a group of MPs are attempting to persuade others to refuse the passing of the budget unless a minimum of 260 billion shillings is allocated for health workers' pay.
Well, the MPs are supported in their campaign by a number of civil societies who attribute the worsening state of health in the country to a severe shortfall in staff numbers, as Irene Namialo reports.
For years now, the emphasis concerning which sector of the health budget should receive priority has been put towards infrastructure development, resulting in the construction of new health centers across the country. But as the infrastructure is boosted within the health sector, a group of MPs are now crying foul over staff numbers and the quality of healthcare service delivery.
The disadvantage we are having now is that even as we invest into those infrastructure, because right now every time you raise, you need additional money. The argument will be, no, now we are not investing in the roads. We are not investing in the energy. But by the end of tomorrow, from today to tomorrow, our mothers who have died will be almost equivalent to us who are here. To those mothers, my brothers and sisters, is a lot important.
These members of parliament, backed by the civil society members, are advocating for the refuse of the passing of the 2012-2013 budget until a minimum of 260 billion Ugandan shillings is redirected in order to boost health workers' pay.
In Ryantonde, when we went to Ryantonde in one of the health centers, out of the 18 people that are supposed to be in that health centers, they only have 4 staff. And what does that mean? And even, by the way, those 4 that are there are not committed. In one of the health centers, we arrived there at around 10. There was basically no staff.
We have visited several health centers around the country and have discovered that most of these health centers are just mere buildings with no health workers. And some of them even have bushes growing around them. The need for health workers is urgent. The activists are attributing what they refer to as the dire healthcare system to the increasing rates of maternal deaths from 435 to 438 per 100,000 live births. They also cite increasing malnutrition and stuntedness among children under 5 and the increasing national HIV prevalence rates also emerging as a result of severe shortage in healthcare workers.
Where it used to be one nurse looking after 5 patients, critically patient. But here you have one nurse looking after 50 or 60 critically ill people. Critically ill, people who are gasping, people who are fitting, people who are dying. And there are people who are very useful members, would have been very useful members of society.
The campaigners are calling for health workers' salaries to be increased and for a strong recruitment drive to begin in order to boost the sector. They also stress the critical importance of how existing staff are treated, advising schemes to be implemented around motivating and retaining the health workers. Irene Namialo, NTV.
A 12-year-old boy who went missing 4 years ago has been found. David Chaze was found in Masaka, where he had been in the care of a Good Samaritan who took him in. Now, Daudi was under the care of his aunt from the age of 3 up to the time he went missing at 9 years old. The circumstances under which the child disappeared still remain unclear. Tonight, as Cynthia Sio reports.
Daudi went missing from home in January 2008. According to him, 2 of his aunties beat him up one night and thereafter took him and dumped him in an isolated spot along Kabakanjagala Road in Lubaga, a Kampala suburb. Although the accused aunties deny these allegations, Mary Nandola, the woman who discovered and took him on, narrates how and where she found the boy.
Boy, what are you doing? Why are you playing in the rain? Eh? You come and get shelter here. And then I asked him where he was going and where he was coming from and why he was playing around like that. And then he told me, no, me, I stay there. I said, where? There, he showed me a bush.
It is alleged that Daudi's father, Abdul Matumbwe, handed over Daudi to his sister when Daudi was only 3 years old, leaving for Sudan and never returned to check on the welfare of his son. However, it is claimed that the father only reappeared after Daudi went missing. To date, nobody knows the whereabouts of Daudi's mother.
Bwe yagenda yekomete yadda mukudda akomyewo kugenda kudduwa waffe tukola bijja ne tugenda kulima bijja kulomba dduwa z'abakadde baffe.
According to police, Daudi's relatives put very little into looking for him. Yet again, none of them is willing to take them in.
As I've already told you that this is a young child, we cannot simply hand him over to the relatives who are not even willing to take him on. I've just handed him over to the Child and Family Protection Officer.
Police are now looking for Daudi's parents, who are likely to face charges of child neglect, while his aunties are being investigated by police.
Chambogo University students have petitioned Parliament over the closure of their university by the University Council last week. The institution was closed after failed talks between the University Council and staff over the resignation of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Isaiah Ndiege. After closure, the university staff then petitioned Parliament to intervene in the matter, just like the students have done this morning. Sohail Mugabe reports.
Come, demand for lectures, but let us fight those people. We have to throw them out.
At Parliament this morning, the students requested the Deputy Speaker, Jacob Olanya, to intervene in the matter with demands that their university should be opened within 7 days. The University Guild President, Buni Christopher, presented the petition on behalf of his fellow students.
We pledge and urge our colleagues to stay calm and peaceful like we have already exhibited as we advocate, demand and await our moral and academic reasons of being in Chambogo University being met at all costs.
However, the Deputy Speaker, Jacob Olanya, advised the students on how Parliament works and said that the issue of giving an ultimatum to Parliament to handle their case does not apply.
Other things have been very well articulated, but the issue of unless within 7 days it is reopened, first of all, Parliament does not have the power to reopen the university. The people who closed it are the people who are given the power to reopen it. So you have accessed Parliament, leave it within the procedures of Parliament to act within its good sense to deal with the matter.
The MP of Kalungu, Joseph Seungu, says the petition will be tabled on the floor of Parliament tomorrow for discussion.
We need to find out who is causing problems for the learning of students in the university. And that's why the students have come in to give in their petition. But you have seen that the petition has got a number of complaints, even beyond going to class.
The institution was closed Thursday last week, following failed talks between the University Council and the staff over the resignation of the Vice-Chancellor, Isaiah Ndiege. Sohail Mugabe, NTV.
Now, global production for grain is estimated at 300 million metric tons and is set to decline as traditional large-scale producers like the United States dip in their production owing to long dry spells. However, in Asia, huge consumers like China demand up to 500 million metric tons, almost double the entire world demand rather. And China is also struggling to exit a slug in general output. Now, in On the Farm this week, Reina Ojon visits the Helen Horticulture Park in Ningxia, China, in Ningxia province in the northeastern China, where comprehensive greenhouse farm activities are underway.
It is summer across Asia, and I head to Ningxia province of northeastern China, where the traditional high humidity levels continue to have huge implications upon the food consumption pattern of the country's middle class. Here at Helan Horticultural Park in Yinchuan district, millions of Chinese yuan are being pumped into an integrated greenhouse food production through turning the otherwise arid conditions into a food basket. China has a staggering population of 1.3 billion people, the largest in the world, and has continued to grow despite the one-child policy. China's economy ranks as the highest in Asia. However, internal demand, particularly grain, in order to meet the requirements of feeding this vast population, has seen industrial growth as its key economic domain for years. Land is becoming a contentious factor in Uganda today as far as being a factor of production is concerned. But down here in northeastern China, among the horticultural farming activities within these large greenhouses are vegetables that are grown on top of metal and plastic linings that run at different angles within the complex. Sweet potatoes are a common component of some of the staple dishes of the Chinese people. They are grown in such greenhouses as well as cucumbers. Tomatoes and other green vegetables. They are still unable to meet the existing requirements for this district in the Ningxia province. These officials of the Agricultural Department of the Ningxia province say that with hundreds of thousands of hectares of would-be arable land negatively impacted by desertification, such strategies of greenhouses are now an integral part of strengthening food production.
这个奶产量呢，也是国家重要的这个优质奶源基地。目前的这个鲜奶总产130万吨，人均鲜奶占有量居全国第2位。
The Helan Horticulture Park is also producing exotic flowers to meet the internal demand within China, which farming experts are arguing should go a long way in taming the wide import bill that runs into billions of United States dollars.
And they can clean waters. In some upper reaches of the river, people plant this, all these plants in it, and polluted water will become clean at upper bridges, from upper bridges to the below bridges.
Among the flowers within this park are species drawn from traditional horticultural markets such as Moscow, Paris, Michigan, Cairo and Pretoria, among others.
They are the national flowers of France. Yes, now it's not the date for their blossom. If it blossom, its flower is blue. Yes.
And with its industrialization index at 10% today, Chinese government officials are confident that continuous expansion of research activities on crops can be achieved in order to feed its people, as well as cutting import expenditure. Raina Urgent, NTV in northeastern China.
Wow. Rachel, after watching Raina's piece, I'm convinced that the Chinese are masters of the impossible.
Absolutely fascinating. But then again, what do you expect from China?
Development maestros, I must say. Well, coming up next after this break, Malcolm Musime with NTV Business.
Clearly, commercial banks must now cut the interest rates because the cost of capital, the cost of their funds has gone down.
This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical reaction takes place, it involves two things.
We are given a straight line that has been denoted by 2x minus y is equal to 6.
emmese yali ku the last piece of ejambi yali mu hardware yonna.
No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistance, Yakazol.
I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it local?
This is NTV.
No one feels the motherland like we do. So tune in every day at 6 p.m. and Fridays from 11 p.m. for the best in homegrown music. Only with Umeme.
Thank you so much for watching NTV. This is NTV Business. My name is Malcolm. You are very welcome. For the first time, the governor of the central bank is expressing his frustration at the inaction by commercial banks in reducing lending rates, even after Bank of Uganda has signaled that effect through lowering the central bank rate. Following the further drop in inflation, the central bank rate for September now drops from 17% to 15%. NTV Summit September reports.
While inflation soared, Bank of Uganda raised its central bank rate, and the commercial banks easily followed, raising their lending rates nearly reaching 40% levels for some loans. As inflation drops, the CBR is coming down, but the lending rates are sticky, hardly coming down. Now one man is not amused.
The CBR has now been reduced by 8 percentage points. I fully expect that commercial banks will now reduce their lending rates. Otherwise, they will see my I should keep quiet.
But the commercial banks have their own reasons for persisting in charging high interest rates.
Demand deposit, savings, and so forth are not growing as fast. It means that the cost of funds for a bank remain high, and it means therefore the interest rate cannot come down at the same pace.
Clearly, commercial banks must now cut the interest rates because the cost of capital, the cost of their funds has gone down.
But can the governor of the central bank really force the commercial banks to take action?
I cannot have a policy to force banks to reduce interest rates, Esther, because we have the liberalized system. But there are other ways of making sure that they behave.
The scenario we have here is that bringing down inflation will not automatically make the banks reduce their lending rates. That is the price of liberalization. In very clear terms, the governor has expressed his frustration with the banks. Will the commercial banks be obedient? Just watch the next 15 days. Samuel Setumba, NTV Business.
Apologies for that technical hiccup. The governor's frustration at commercial banks in action to reduce lending rates. Now, the accountant's bill before Parliament needs to be quickly passed, but with reviews on certain sections, more so to that, touch the public sector governance within the profession. The Institute of Certified Public Accounts of Uganda say that loopholes in the legal framework has created space for increased fraud, but within the public and private sectors. Reynold John has more.
Instances of fraud, particularly in government ministries and departments, is raising the bar for better institutional and self-regulation as billions of taxpayers' money gets lost. The Institute of Certified Public Accounts of Uganda says that the accountants bill whose passing by Parliament is delayed is rendering enforcement impossible.
And that's what the profession suffers usually from, that the laws are there and the profession develops and it takes a while to change the laws. So currently we are in the process of amending the Accountants Act, and the bill as is, that bill has on the shelves, has been on the shelves for about 7 years.
The Accounting Profession Club also says that certain sections of the bill, for example number 14 subsection 2, that attempts to exclude public servants from provisions of the law, needs to be revised.
Not accountants, but as the board, to look out for the public interest and see that the accountants stated to do this and strictly they are following their word. So those are the developments of the profession, and they are not in the current bill and they desire to be there.
There have been instances of public service officials caught in financial impropriety and in most cases found out to be non-members of the established certified public accounting memberships. It remains to be seen how much amendments in the law will reduce the vice.
In the financial markets, the shilling has continued to trade just against the dollar. We have more in this report coming.
Financial Report is brought to you by URA, developing Uganda together.
All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
Well, that winds up NTV Business for tonight. Thank you for watching. Joel Kamadi will be bringing you all the sports.
Use side lamps with energy savers instead of overhead lights.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Now the countdown to the African qualifier match between the Cranes and Zambia continues, with hundreds of fans having committed to fly or use the bus to Ndola this weekend to support the national team for the first leg knockout qualifier. Now Pulse Poto, FUFA and Air Uganda have partnered to charter a direct flight to Zambia. FUFA spokesperson Rogers Molindwa spoke to NTV about the preparations and details of travel.
Check-in time will be 5 a.m. in the morning, and as we talk now, that aircraft with 101 seats has 87 seats fully booked. And watching this game is on a higher cost, close to 200,000, because 190,000 shillings of Uganda. So it's also in a higher cost, but Parasport will do that for the fans that are traveling under this arrangement.
Uganda's #1 morale booster, also known as Kamodo, was also given his air ticket at the Nambole Stadium this evening as the country attempts to qualify for the Nations Cup for the first time since 1978.
We've provided Mr. Kamodo with a ticket that entails everything: accommodation, transportation, since he's our #1 morale booster. He's going to support, he's going to fuel all our funds that are going to Zambia to support the Uganda Cranes. The ticket contains everything that was provided to all the other funds, and he will be going with us everywhere and come back with us at the same time.
Now, Uganda's Coca-Cola team suffered 3 consecutive defeats today in the ongoing African tournament in Pretoria, South Africa. As Sampoza reports, the boys lost to Nigeria and Tanzania before eventually falling to Kenya.
Uganda opened up the day's action against Nigeria and lost the game by 1-0. Team captain Daniel Ojala was handed a red card in the second half, which in the officials' opinion was unfair. The boys played the second game against Tanzania with 1 man less and lost it by 2-1. Brian Mayanja scored the only goal for Uganda in this game. The last game of the day saw Uganda lose to Kenya by 2-1. Kakaire Brian had earlier equalized for Uganda before the Kenyans got a late penalty to win the game. It was a bad day indeed for Uganda. The boys lost all their 3 games today, and now they have to wait for tomorrow and see if they can beat Mozambique and Zimbabwe and probably finish among the top 4 teams. Reporting for NTV Sport here in Pretoria, I'm Sam Mpoza.
In Pretoria, South Africa. Now, the 80th edition of the Uganda Amateur Golf Open will tee off at the Uganda Golf Club tomorrow. Defending champion Rogers Biaruhanga will battle top amateur golfers who include Adolf Muhumuza, Willie Kitaka and Stephen Chegenzi. A total of 122 top amateur golfers and professionals from the region will take part in the 4-day event. Now, following the impressive show they put up in Italy, where they scooped the individual and team gold in the World Mountain Running Championship, Michael Cherop, Moses Kurong and Abdallah Mande returned home to a warm welcome at the Entebbe airport this evening. A record of 40 nations competed in the 23rd World Mountain Running Championships 2012 in Ponte di Legno, with 11 nations earning medals in the 4 events. The junior men's 8.8-kilometer race saw a strong performance from Uganda's Michael Cherop, who beat European champion Adem Karagos of Turkey. Bronze medal went to Somes Dag, also of Turkey, just 10 seconds ahead of Moses Kurong of Uganda, who came in 4th. The team race was won by Uganda with 13 points, with second place going to Turkey with 20 and Italy taking the final podium place. And that winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we'll not have the weather tonight because time is against us. We'll go straight to a reminder of our NTV poll question. We asked, how can the awareness against cervical cancer be heightened in the country? How can the awareness against cervical cancer be heightened in Uganda?
All right, we appreciate your responses. We'll quickly read out a few. We have David Mason in Hima Kasese saying, by training peer educators at village level to disseminate information to the locals.
Okay, and Zirin Tusa Michael, you say simple items used in everyday life like car stickers, wristbands, cups, t-shirts and so much more can effectively bring out the cervical cancer awareness. The message is inscribed on them can reach far.
Thank you so much for all your responses. That concludes NTV Tonight. Gabriel will return later with NTV Late Night for a final roundup of the day's main developments. For now, it's good night.
I'm Gabriel Apeno.
I'm Rachel Arinitwe.
Bye-bye.
This is NTV.